Today, I want to share our experiences living in India after our move. Hi, this is Avinash here, and I moved to India after living 20 years in US. At Desi Return, we share information and captivating stories so that you can make an informed decision of staying abroad or move to India. Let's dive in today's topic. It's been 2.5 years since we moved back to India, and time has flown by. Now that we have settled in and passed the initial honeymoon phase of the move, I feel it's a good time to reflect and share our honest experiences. In today's video, I want to talk about life in India through 8 key dimensions: how it went, compromises, and some unexpected surprises we have encountered along the way. So let's dive in. First, kids. When we moved, our kids are 9 and 7 years old, which means they were joining the fourth grade and second grade here in India. One good thing in India is there are several curriculums that you can choose from. We selected IB, and honestly, they have adapted very well. No complaints about curriculum or school overall. I know a lot of people have concerns about language. In our case, my kids can speak in Telugu, but they can't read or write. In Telangana, Telugu is a mandatory. However, it's a third language and it's not formally evaluated. And based on the kids' level, it's taught accordingly. Also, I want to mention it took a little bit longer for our kids to be fluent in conversing in Telugu. And the reason is many kids in our community come from different states and countries. So English is their common language to communicate. We know the school fees would be high, but it's really expensive. It increases by 10% every year. And in addition to that, when kids move from primary to secondary or secondary to high school, there is an additional fee hike. So please keep that in mind. In addition, you have to shell some money for tuitions as they get into higher grades. Sometimes we joke that if we have invested the money in a corpus instead of paying for school fees, it would have grown into a small fortune by the time they graduate. Next one, activities. One of the biggest advantage of living in India is the warmer weather, which means kids can play almost year long. In our community, there are plenty of kids around and the area is secure. This helps a lot for them to spend time outdoors after coming back from school and in the weekends. The sense of freedom and opportunity to make friends while playing outdoors has been wonderful for their overall growth. Another aspect is we loved is how easy is it to get access to extracurricular activities. Again, in communities, kids can participate either in basketball, dance, art, and much more. This saves us a lot of time to take them around for these extracurricular activities. Of course, if the child needs a specialized training, you have to go to a specific centers outside the community. But for regular activities, the convenience of having this within the community has been a huge time saver. Overall, I would say kids are really happy and they adapted fast here in India. Now let's talk about the second dimension, family. My brother moved to India few years ago. And honestly, it's great that he is here to take care of our parents. Now that I'm also back, I feel so much better knowing that I can be around when they need me, whether it's something as simple as taking them for an annual health checkups or just spending quality time with them. It's a blessing. The time my parents were able to spend with their grandkids is truly invaluable. Seeing their bond, the stories they talk about, the joy they bring to each other, is one of the rewarding parts of living in India. Overall, I say there is no guilt of being far away when they need us. It's a sense of comfort and closeness I wouldn't trade for anything. Extended family. After spending so many years abroad, it's easy to lose touch with the extended family as everyone moves away along with their own lives. But here, we have had the opportunity to re-establish those connections, especially with different events that are happening, and you get an opportunity to meet the extended family on a regular basis. Having a regular conversations and spending time really helps in re-establishing those relationships and rekindle those connections. Now let's talk about the third dimension, career and entrepreneur. I am personally no longer in the corporate world, so I can't comment on it. But what I heard from others is the work culture. The odd timings for some of the meetings can be challenging. Of course, the work culture is improving in India, but there is still a way to go compared to what we can experience in abroad. That said, for those who are still in a corporate roles, product-based companies tend to offer better work-life balance than a service-based companies. On an entrepreneur side, one thing that stands out is the sheer number of opportunities here. India's growth is real, and you can feel the vibe, and especially in cities like Hyderabad. Whether you're looking to build something new or work in a growing field, there is so much happening. Of course, it's not a smooth sailing. Inefficiencies, bureaucracies, need for multiple follow-ups are still part of the game, and it can be very frustrating. But over time, you can get adjusted to that or find opportunities that can minimize those interactions so that it wouldn't have a big impact. It's all about choosing your battles and finding your flow. The next dimension is about convenience and services. One of the things I really appreciate is how convenient the services are in India. Apps like Zepto, Swiggy ensures quick delivery. Urban Company helps with the home services. Dunzo, where you can ship something easily across the city. These convenience really free up your time and make your life a lot easier. It's amazing how these things work in India. With domestic help, yes, they can definitely help with the chores and all that stuff. And it definitely help you with more time that you can focus on what you enjoy the most. But it's not all rosy. Here is the flip side. Managing these domestic help comes with own set of challenges. In our case, we have to change so many maids, training them, and don't know if they come back after going to hometown. So it is not completely rosy that you have a domestic help. It is definitely much more stressful supervising them. So while the help is great, it's not at all rosy. Now let's talk about the other dimension, which is the lifestyle. Life in India in general is a bit laid back compared to US, which honestly I came to enjoy. It allows for a better balance of different aspects of family, hobbies, and so on. In the India, like especially like when you look at the finances, which is another dimension, fintech, India has made incredible advances in that sector. UPI payments, online banking, digital transactions are so seamless, and it makes the life very easy. It's in very incredible and convenient to manage the finances here. The other factor there is the cost of living. Frankly, the cost of living is quite high, but there is a wide range. When you move from one place to the other place, it can change drastically. For example, you can get a cup of tea from 20 rupees to 200 rupees. All these options are available. It's the lifestyle that you want to choose, and you have to pay for it. In the western part of the Hyderabad, the cost of living is, from me, is almost as comparable to living abroad. You have to choose what works for you. One big surprise is the cost of real estate. It's quite expensive, especially in western part of the Hyderabad. From our perspective, school fees and house are the biggest expenses and that you have to keep in mind. And whereas the rest, it definitely have several options and you can choose from. And that has been a big surprise. Now let's talk about the environment. Yes, pollution, traffic are definitely a challenge here, but you have to find ways to work around. If you have the flexibility to travel at non-peak hours or planning your routes helps a lot. Uh, for us, it's not a deal breaker, so it didn't bother us. I think the gated communities, I highly recommend people who are planning to return to move to a gated communities if possible. That helps with much more smooth transition for the family. The facilities, the security, also the presence of like-minded people will be very invaluable to make the transition as smooth as possible. Now let's talk about the social life as a dynamic. Social life has been very vibrant while we are busy with the family, friends. You will find plenty of like-minded people. One thing that I didn't expect was meeting so many of my US friends here because they visit India at least once every 2 years. So actually, we see them more often than when we lived in US because they might live in the East Coast or the West Coast, and it just makes it a bit hard. But since we've been living in India, we have been seeing our friends much more often. One surprising thing is that I'm surprised to see how many NRIs moved back to India. I know it's still a minority, but it's more than I imagined. For example, in our community, 30% of people or the residents are Britons. So it's a big surprise. Now the last dimension, hobbies, travel. So on the hobbies, Hyderabad has so many active groups for different hobbies. Personally, I have become part of Hyderabad's Runners Club, and my interest in running has grown dramatically, whether it's hiking, biking, even Ironman training. There is something for everyone. I know people say they might not be interested for parks or places to run. I find it different. There are a lot of parks available. Yes, you might have to go early, but I'm really surprised about the number of active groups for the different hobbies that are available. And you can find that's interesting to you and you can join them. And it's dramatically changed in the last decade. India, living in India can provide a lot of opportunities from travel, whether it's within the country or around the region. It's easy to go to Southeast Asia, explore. I think that's the best part, I think, in living in India, so that, while in US, you know, accumulate your uh, vacation so that you can visit to India. But here, while living in India, you can actually use it or take vacations, go to different countries, check them out. I think it's definitely, something that we enjoying it. Overall, I think on a food, yes, the options are fantastic in India. Of course, the best food from India is Indian cuisine. You can't miss it. But you have options from authentic Indian to international dishes. The variety and quality are top notch. So you won't miss, I think, in terms of access to certain cuisine. And overall, I think some people have concerned about the adulteration of the food. I personally think there are several options. You can do your due diligence and you can get some of these goods from the right vendors. That's my personal take on that. So looking back, my wife and I never really compared our life here to what would it would have been if we stayed in US. Instead, we treated this move as starting a new chapter and we have embraced it wholeheartedly. Life in India is different, yes, but it's also dynamic, fulfilling, and rich with opportunities and connections. For us, moving when our kids were young felt right, but it allowed us to build this life together. No regrets of moving to India at all. I hope this experience helps some families. I love to hear your thoughts or questions. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. Thanks.